welcome back everyone for some more Ace Attorney Dual Destinies, and we are continuing on with the trial with the case against Athena Sykes, and now we are in the middle of listening to Simon Blackwell, which he pretty much confessed to doing the murdering her Athena's mom, Dr. Meta Sykes. But now we're going to be taking a deep dive into his heart and trying to figure out what his true feelings are, and what exactly was going on during that moment where he was in the Space Center 7 years ago. But before we do that, hope you guys have an awesome day today. Hope you guys doing well. But yeah, it is going to be Mood Matrix time here in this episode. I went to the Cosmos Space Center with the intention of killing Dr. Sykes. But when I got to the robotics lab, I found Athena there instead. We are going to pinpoint happiness. This feeling of happiness. Even though the person you were looking for wasn't there, you felt happy. Why is that? Simple. When I was looking for Athena and hadn't found her yet, I grew worried. So when I saw her in the robotics lab, I was happily relieved. Merely that. And that brought it down 60%. Holy crow. Just now, you said that you went to the Space Center to kill Dr. Sykes. But the first thing you did was look for her daughter instead? I had no intention of harming Athena, so I wanted to confirm that she was safe first. It was just part of my plan. Nothing contradictory about that. Ah. The second I find an inconsistency, he cuts it down. And naturally, I forget to mute my phone. Simon knows the principles of analytical psychology. There's less noise now, but I don't see any instabilities we can latch onto. I was afraid of that. We'll just have to keep chipping away at him, then bit by bit. Could you update his testimony, Athena? You got it, boss. I went to the Cosmos Space Center with the intention of killing Dr. Sykes. When I found Athena in the robotics lab, I was relieved. But I would not be swayed from my purpose, so I waited for Dr. Sykes to return. And when she did, I plunged the katana in. And with that, we are going to pinpoint his sadness. Not even you can falsify your emotions, Prosecutor Blackwell. What? When you said that you killed Dr. Sykes in your testimony, you felt sadness. Why would someone who had lain in wait to kill her be sad at her death? Such an obvious attack. Yes, I felt sadness, but it wasn't for her. I felt sorry for Athena and her circumstances. God, he can't be talking about that, can he? I was just a convenient subject for her research. Dr. Sykes was so intent on her research she forced her daughter to undergo experiments. My objective was to save Athena. Oh crap, I got a thing on my laptop as I'm recording, that's always cool. From an obsessive scientist who treated her own daughter like a research subject. What? I went to the psychology lab first. That's where I would usually find Athena playing. But that day was different. I heard someone crying in a robotics lab next door. Was Athena being subjected to yet another experiment? I thought as I went to see. Conveniently, Athena had cried herself to sleep, so all I had to do was wait and kill. So that's why he was relieved when he saw Athena. But is this story really true? I'm not sure how much to believe. Mr. A? How you doing, Athena? Still hanging in there? I'm a lot stronger than I look, boss. Now take a look at this. The noise level actually increased. Oh boy. It went up? I've never seen it do that before. Prosecutor Blackwell is lying somewhere in his testimony. As a matter of fact, he's piling lie on top of lie in an attempt to make his claim sound more believable. He's trying even harder to suppress his true feelings, and that's what's causing the noise. How in the world should I approach this? An evidence-based approach might work if I can find a contradiction. Otherwise, I should look for an inconsistency in his emotions. There are no flaws in my testimony, and his boldness is prepared to give his verdict. Give up on his lost cause and let the law free me of these chains already.
Objection!
I don't think so. Not while I'm around. Now, contradictory testimony and inconsistency of motion. Which should I tackle first? Let's go ahead and save. I'm pretty sure I know what to pick here. Because this really, I mean, his testimony is solid. But this still, the noise level we can't ignore, so we're going to tackle his emotions. Okay, let's look for inconsistent emotions. I don't know why I read it like that. Got it, boss. But if you want to try looking for a contradictory statement instead, just let me know. I can easily switch over. I heard crying from next door. Of course I was worried. I hurried over and opened the door to the robotics lab. Well, let's go ahead and pinpoint the surprise.
Got it!
How odd. Why would you register surprise at opening the door to the lab? Just... Alright, fine. I'll explain if I must. What surprised me was... Ponko. That toy figure attacked me. Dr. Sykes knew full well my plan to rescue Athena, but she couldn't stand guard over her daughter 24 hours a day. So Dr. Sykes had Ponko do it? That's right. She ordered Ponko to forcibly remove me on sight. So I slashed Ponko up with a katana that was there in the lab. That rickety old puppet wasn't worthy of that fine blade. Mr. Wright, it's happening again. There's even more noise now. Oh god. We're not back to square one. 100% now. What's going on here? Whenever we find an opening, he covers it up with lies. We'll never get rid of the noise this way. It's pretty hard to keep telling coherent lies like that. His mind and will really are as sharp and strong as a katana. Alright, what should I tackle first this time? Well, emotions isn't doing any good, like I thought it would, so we're gonna tackle his testimony. I think there might be an inconsistency with Prosecutor Blackwell's testimony. Alright, let's give it a thorough check then. With a feeling of dread, I opened the robotics lab door. Just then... Ponko attacked me! I retaliated by cutting it into pieces. I don't think so. And it's because of this. Photo of the crime.
Objection!
Compounding lies with more lies is never the answer, Prosecutor Blackwell. Take a look at this photo. That's a photo of the supposed moment of the murder, isn't it? How many more times must I see that which damned me for my sin? The ironic thing is, I think this picture is actually going to be your savior now. See the blood stain at the end of Ponko's arm where it was severed with a katana? I hope you aren't claiming it's a robot's blood, Mr. Ray. No, most likely the blood was transferred there from the bloody katana. The katana already had blood on it, so then it must have been the victim's blood? That's right, but if that's the case, we found a glaring inconsistency. You said in your testimony that you cut up Ponko and then you killed Dr. Sykes. But, in spite of that, the victim's blood is already on Ponko's arm in this picture. What? But that couldn't be. Exactly. In order for the blood to have been transferred from the sword to Ponko's arm, the victim must have been stabbed first, before the robot was slashed. In other words, Prosecutor Blackwell, your entire testimony is nothing but one giant ball of lies. Tell the court the truth, Prosecutor Blackwell, now. You have no idea what you're doing. His voice. There's so much discord. I'm hearing not just one or two, but a bunch of rampaging emotions here. It's hard to describe. It's like a violent whirlpool or something. Phoenix Wright, you will pay for this. Never have I been forced to reveal so much, but the rest I'll take to my grave. Prosecutor Blackwell, you are on the witness stand. You are obligated to tell the truth. Isn't that the rule of the courtroom? All these complex emotions, they seem to be flowing from one source. I think whatever he really saw that day is what's causing these feelings. Following the sound of crying, I opened the lab door, and then I saw it, that terrible scene. We're gonna go ahead and probe, and we are going to probe Athena.
Got it!
When you opened the door and saw Athena, you became overwhelmed by your emotions. Isn't that right, prosecutor? Oh, he's sweating. You should know better. And though it's pathetic, I admit I'm terrified to speak of it. Prosecutor Blackwell, Miss Sykes is innocent. I will always believe that with all my heart. Now, can't you find it within yourself to believe in me too? Athena is innocent, huh? Can you honestly say you believe that to be true? Right, Dono? I give you my word. Now tell me what you really saw when you opened that door. Curse you, Phoenix Wright. It was a tragedy, one I'll never forget. When I arrived at the lab, Dr. Sykes was already dead. She was lying on the operating table, while the bloody katana lay on the floor. And standing between the two, covered in blood, was Athena. She smiled with a far-off look in her eyes, as she sweetly said, oh. Something's wrong with Mom, so I'm taking her apart to fix her. Oh no. Oh wow. That's what I saw, and now you have it. The truth that you so desperately wanted. Wow. Oh my gosh. No. Prosecutor Blackwell finally tells the truth, and this is what it is? It's beyond devastating. I tried to take my mother apart? I... Oh my god. No! Oh my god. Oh my god. Wow. So it was me. I'm the one who killed my mother. Athena! As I said, right, the truth isn't always pretty. Murder, disassembly on the operating table, a scientist using a daughter as a guinea pig. Sadly, it appears that my theory was correct after all.
Objection!
It's true that Athena didn't like her mother's research, but you dare cast aspersions on my mentor by claiming Athena was used in such a manner? Dr. Sykes could be awkward with people, but she loved her daughter with all her heart. She loved me? Your mother hated to see you suffer because you could hear the voices of people's hearts. She wanted to set you free of your pain, so she worked tirelessly on her research. Do you remember those headphones you hated so much? Yes. My head hurt every time I wore them. No, Athena. It's just the opposite. They emitted sound waves to nullify emotional input from the voices of people around you. Your power was much stronger than what it is now. And those headphones were what enabled you to carry on with everyday life. No, that can't be true. Then why? Why would I have done something like that? To somebody who loved me so much. Her love for you was real. That I can guarantee. That's why I knew that what happened had to be some kind of mistake. I couldn't let you be punished for it. So you took the blame yourself? You and your mentor are more alike than you know. Ponko was a witness, so I put it in the case, held Athena close, and vacated the lab. I threw Ponko away in the boarding lounge trash chute, and I hid the case on the Space Center grounds. It would seem that we now have all the facts of this case.
Hold it!
No, not yet. It can't end like this.
Objection!
Do not disgrace yourself, Mr. Ray. The truth has been revealed. Or are you the type of man to turn your back to things that disagree with you? I'm not. But this... I can't give up now. I have to say something. Anything, even if it's a bluff. I've always managed to pull through with that way in the past. I have to make it work. The defense is prepared to present evidence. Mr. Ray. Yes, Athena? It's okay. You can stop now. I don't want you or anyone else to suffer any longer for my sake. Athena, what are you saying? I killed my mother. That's the truth. It's just like Prosecutor Edgeworth said. We have to face it, no matter how much it hurts. I admit my guilt. But could I please be granted just one chance to tell everyone what I recall? It appears Miss Sykes is much braver than you, Mr. Ray. What say you, Your Honor? In light of her courage, will the court give Miss Sykes this opportunity to confess? Very well, then, if you would, please take the stand, Miss Sykes. Wow. This is easily the most emotional case I've ever taken part of so far in this series. Oh my god. Oh wow. I'm trying to wrap my head around this. Thank you for letting me do this, Prosecutor Edgeworth. And thank you, Mr. Wright and Prosecutor Blackwell, for letting the truth be known. Now we can finally move forward and everyone's suffering can come to an end. Athena. Prosecutor Blackwell will be cleared and the Dark Age law can come to an end. Yes, admit your guilt and bring everything to its conclusion. I killed my mother. My memory is still a little hazy, but there's no question I remember it. I remember the weight of the weapon in my hands and the feeling of it stabbing in deep, and I remember the warmth of her blood as it flowed down the handle onto my fingers. Your Honor, please find me guilty. I dare say these are all memories that no one but the murderer would have. I see. Thank you for your confession. I believe this trial has gone on long enough. But before we conclude, does anyone have a counter-argument?
Objection!
Here we go. I do, Your Honor. But Mr. Wright. But Mr. Wright? Why? I killed her. I remember it now. Any counter-argument now is pointless.
Objection!
Don't tell me you've forgotten one of the basic tenets of lawyering. Always believe in the client to the bitter end. Athena, you are not a murderer.
Objection!
I said that you never changed, but could you have actually regressed in these 8 years? I won't stand for your childish emotionalism getting in the way of the truth. Emotionalism? Don't lecture me on matters of the heart, Edgeworth. Because I can see straight into a person's soul. I did a little research. I looked into those special psyche locks you mentioned, Mr. Nick. Athena isn't trying to keep anything from you on purpose. For some reason, part of her heart and her memories are sealed off, even from herself. There's still a chance, somewhat deep in Athena's heart. There might still be a memory that not even she knows about yet. It might be looking for a grain of sand somewhere in the cosmos, but still, that memory might contain a new fact that could prove her innocence. I hope for everyone's sake that you're not just bluffing, Mr. Ray. Now then, there is a not probable mistakes confession? My memory is still a little hazy, but there's no question I remember it. I remember the weight of the weapon in my hands, and the feeling of it stabbing in deep. And I remember the warmth of her blood as it flowed down the handle onto my fingers. There's definitely something wrong with her memory of the event. I can just tell. If there's a problem with the confession, please prove it to this court now. We are gonna present the katana.
Take that!
Isn't that the katana the defendant used to kill the victim, Mr. Ray? I respectfully and vehemently disagree, Your Honor. But I remember it. I remember holding the weapon and getting blood on my fingers. That's exactly my point. If blood really did get on your fingers while you were holding it, there should be blood on the handle. But please focus on the handle of this sword. There's not a trace of blood on it. And therefore, this is clearly a contradiction of the facts. You're right. Oh my!
Objection!
The defendant must have simply confused a portion of her memories. She mentioned it was hazy to begin with, and we can't mull over every minor detail.
Objection!
But she also said, there's no question I remember it, a fact we can't ignore. In that case, why don't you explain what this contradiction with her memory means? Gladly. Just give me a sec to think of something. I want to say that Athena didn't stab anyone, but she said it herself that she remembers the feeling of committing the act. Think, Phoenix. Think. What could the contradiction with Athena's memories mean? Well, I don't see how the blood could have been wiped off, so I'm gonna go with defendant used a different weapon. Should have saved before this. Miss Sykes said blood flowed down the handle, but the katana's handle was spotless. So, doesn't it follow the defendant must have used a weapon other than the katana? What are you up to this time? This is it. This time I found just the thing to end Athena's nightmare for good. The weapon that took Dr. Sykes' life was the katana. That much is for sure. So if I can show a possibility that Athena didn't use the katana, it could help me prove her innocent. Different weapon, you say? What weapon would that be exactly? Okay, this time I'm gonna be smart and save. There is another stabbing weapon that I do believe I still have in my court record. Wait, of course he would ask that. I can see you're flattering, Mr. Ray. Did you speak without thinking again, as always? How does he do that? But I can't back down. Not here, not now. That's right, I did. Because it's so obvious it doesn't require any thought. What did you say? Okay, so maybe that was an exaggeration, but there has to be something. Was there some other bladed weapon in the robotics lab that day? Maybe there's something in one of the crime scene photos. Wait a minute. There is something. There's a high probability that that was in the lab. I don't have that particular weapon here in the evidence right now, but I do have a piece of evidence just like it. Other than the katana, this is another blade that may have been in the crime scene. Well, it was the utility knife.
Take that!
But that's the murder weapon in the Clay Terran case. Yes, this is the knife that took Mr. Terran's life. But there must have been a knife just like this at the scene 7 years ago as well. Toolkits containing utility knives like this one are issued to the Space Center employees, and a robotics lab especially would naturally have one of these around.
Objection!
But, besides the katana, no other bladed weapon was found at the site. It was in the investigation report if you didn't know.
Objection!
Oh, of course I knew that, once you told me just now. Then here's something else you already knew. There was a toolkit at the scene, but it didn't contain any blades. Here's a photo of its contents. You're right, I don't see any kind of blade at all. Fine, but isn't there something odd about the design on these handles? Actually, there is. Therefore, there was no other bladed weapon in the room.
Objection!
I disagree. This toolkit contained a knife. And what proof do you have of that? Don't tell me your eye for art is failing you too, Mr. Edgeworth. You are the last person in the world who should be criticizing my aesthetic sense. No, he's simply watching out for your ocular health. Please proceed, Mr. Ray. Notice that the handles of each of these tools have a sort of design on them. Oh, I see that they do, but what significance does that have? It's clear that one of the tools is missing from this kit. If we rearrange the tools into a specific pattern, we might be able to tell which part of the overall design is missing. Is that the memory your pitiful sense of aesthetics helped you come up with? Edgeworth, just let it go, man. Show the court then, if you would. What pattern or design would we see if we were to rearrange the tools? Well, we can present one of either two things. We can either present the robotics with a heart, or we could present the Space Center pamphlet, because both of them have the same design on it. So, for this, I'm just going to present the pamphlet.
Take that!
But what design is this supposed to represent? The Gioxa logo, Your Honor. It's on all the Space Center's documents and pamphlets. As you're aware, Gioxa is the program that operates the Cosmos Space Center. Look at how brightly the Gioxa logo shines in the sunlight above the entranceway. I really dig the stars and rocket motif it's got going. Gioxa, huh? Is that the new name of the Federal Space R&D program? Oh, I think I see it now. But yes, with just the tools shown in this photo, the red A part of the logo is missing. And this is where the murder weapon from the Terran case comes into play. If we were to place the utility knife in the open slot, it would complete the Gioxa logo. So it would. Then that means... Admit it, Mr. Edgeworth, my aesthetic sense is keener than yours. And while you're at it, admit that the weapon Miss Sykes used could have been this one. Order. Order in the court. Miss Sykes confessed to having a memory of stabbing the victim. Admittedly, Miss Sykes most likely did stab someone, using the utility knife. However, this weapon used to kill Dr. Sykes was the katana. Therefore, the act of stabbing that Miss Sykes remembers couldn't be that of Dr. Sykes. Very well. Let's suppose for a minute that Miss Sykes did use the utility knife. Tell me, how does that change anything? Come again? What if the katana was only being used as a decoy to conceal the true murder weapon? What if the real weapon that took the victim's life was the utility knife? Don't be ridiculous, or are you changing the premise of the entire argument? I'm merely offering a hypothetical situation derived from your logic. Miss Sykes could have put blood on the katana and make it look like the murder weapon, and then concealed the knife on her personage until Blackwell carried her away. That does clear up the contradiction between Miss Sykes' memories and the evidence. If, in fact, the murder weapon is a utility knife, then fate has dealt you a cruel hand. For you have just proven the knife's existence to the rest of us with your own logic.
Objection!
The prosecution is attempting to lead the court.
Objection!
You're the one attempting to lead the court, Mr. Ray, by forcing us to forget the facts of this case. Need I remind you that there were only 2 people in the lab at the time of the murder, and that the defendant herself recalls stabbing someone with her own hands? No. It matters not whether the murder weapon was a katana or a utility knife. As long as we know that the victim and the defendant were the only ones there, you cannot escape the fact that it was Athena Sykes who killed her own mother. I don't believe it. Why? Why does this keep happening? Every time I find a contradiction, it vanishes, and the suspicion keeps coming back. It's almost as if... Now you're finally starting to get it. Your contradictions keep vanishing because the charge is true, and the suspicion keeps coming back to the defendant because that's where it belongs. Phoenix Wright, when will you open your eyes and accept the truth? Nah, I don't want to believe it. It can't be true. But what if... Mr. Ray, you fought a good fight. I think you've done all you can do. And with that, we are going to go ahead and end things off here. We are going at a half hour, and then we are going to be continuing on with this child, but... Man, what an emotional roller coaster ride. And I have a feeling things are only going to get worse before they get better, so... But thank you guys so much for watching this. Hope you guys are enjoying the series so far. I'll be seeing you guys again next time.